Trump has reacted to the Manhattan grand jury voting in favor of indicting him in connection to the hush money payments paid to Stormy Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 election. He is not happy, as you can imagine, and I'm sure this is the first of many statements that he'll have in regard to this case. He writes that the Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession with trying to get Trump. But now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in the act of blatant election interference. What? Okay, well, by the way, he's facing other criminal investigations having to do with his role in trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Maybe he has the investigations and the trials mixed up, but the one that we're talking about now and the one where the grand jury voted to indict him has to do with the hush money payments, not the 2020 election. Never before in our nation's history, writes Trump, has this been done. True, he's right about that. The Democrats have cheated countless times over the decades, including spying on my campaign, but weaponizing our justice system to punish a political opponent who just so happens to be a president of the United States and by far the leading Republican candidate for president has never happened before, ever. And then he has a statement in regard to the District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, he writes, who was handpicked and funded by George Soros, is a disgrace. Rather than stopping the unprecedented crime wave taking over New York City, he's doing Joe Biden's dirty work, ignoring the murders and burglaries and assaults he should be focused on. This is how Bragg spends his time. So a lot of distraction, a lot of deflection, a lot of denial in regard to his part in the hush money payments and the fraudulent documents that were created in order to provide cover for those hush money payments.
Yeah, so look, he's just getting started. So he hasn't threatened violence yet, which is a bit shocking. So he's gonna build up to it, right?
Right, so
why?
So Steve Bannon has already called on Trump supporters to peacefully protest. He said that during his show immediately after the indictment news broke. So hopefully, look, people have the right to protest. I have no problem with that. But the key word is peaceful.
Yeah, and look, he put peaceful in there, so far, fine. I mean, I didn't see the video, and I hope he didn't go wink, right? And I hope that people don't misinterpret that, but there's nothing wrong with peaceful protests. You want to protest that Trump's getting arrested? You think he should be above the law and he should be able to violate campaign finance laws? Who cares if you lie to the government and how you keep your books? Okay, that's a questionable position, but okay, go ahead and protest. Let the rich break the law, let the powerful break the law. Have at it, Hoss, as long as you keep it peaceful.
Oh man.
What happened?
Oh, this paints a picture. So the New York Times keeps updating the story with reactions and more importantly, what those close to Trump are saying. So interestingly enough, over the last week, over recent weeks, Trump's been at Mar-a-Lago, keeping his typical schedule, dining with guests, playing golf. In fact, in recent days, it was reported that he was in an incredibly good mood because he was under the assumption that Alvin Bragg's case against him had fallen apart. Remember, he thought he was gonna get arrested 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm just gonna interject for a second.
Go ahead.
Because everybody keeps saying, I think Trump wants to get arrested because he thinks it's gonna help his chances in the primary. No, he doesn't. He hates the thought of being arrested. He thinks it's a huge embarrassment. He thinks that New York society will mock him. He's talked about those fears openly in the past. And so he wanted to be among the elites and stuff. And he thought, well, I'm president now, so I'm finally made it into the club, right? And here they are, and they're saying, no, you're not in the club. You're like, we're gonna treat you like a regular schmo and actually uphold the law against you, which they don't often do. That's the one thing that right wingers are a little bit right about, right? When it comes to other establishment politicians. So no, he was ecstatic the other day when he really thought that the case was off, and he bragged about it. I told Alvin Bragg, he got scared. Now it turns out back to depends.
Okay, so his aides, though, those very close to him, who apparently aren't really good friends of Trump's because they were leaking this to the New York Times, are saying that the good mood that he had been in recent days was just a front. It was a mask that he put on because internally he was incredibly, he was just racked with anxiety and fear that he would eventually be prosecuted for this. He was also trying to tamp down his own behavior after he posted on his social media site a news article with an image of Bragg on one side and an image of Trump holding a baseball bat on the other side. So apparently, after he did that, he's like, maybe I should calm down a little bit. But I mean, the crime was already committed, homeboy.
Remember, that's a new crime. That's why he's such a coward. You know, it's funny because we're the fairest show in America. We tell you all the time. The one upside of Trump is, well, he's got a couple of upsides. One is he said F you to the establishment. I enjoy that. Then he took it in an insane direction. I did not enjoy that. But he also showed you how much the other Republican politicians are cowards. He bullied them and they all were like, oh, I'll do whatever you want. And you showed how pathetic they were. But don't forget, he himself is a coward. The idea of going broke or going to jail are his worst nightmares. And every internal report from every Trump insider, not just on this issue, always says about how scared he is and how worried he is and how stressed he is.
No, I retract what I said previously in an earlier video that we did on this story. I lied. This is making my life better. Like every update makes my life incrementally better. Let me read you this, okay? Maggie Haberman reporting in the New York Times. A large group of former Trump Organization employees is sending texts quietly cheering the latest developments, a reminder of how many people have felt burned in various ways by Trump over the years. How many times did we talk about the day when all the people Trump turned his back on would get together and screw him over, or at least celebrate something terrible happening to him? He shivved so many of his allies, so many of his friends, so many people were so incredibly loyal to him over his weird perceived disloyalties.
Yeah, and look, I know if you're in MAGA world, which is honestly 93% of the Republican Party, you think everything about Trump is a lie. He's an angel. He's never done anything wrong. He sometimes says outrageous things. You'll concede, right? But overall, he's an angel, and all of his current advisors, former advisors, current allies, and former administration officials, every single one of them is a liar, even though they're all like huge conservatives, massive right wingers for the last 40, 50, 60 years. But they're all liars, right? But for any of you who hasn't lost their mind and all objectivity, they're not all lying, brothers, okay? They're telling you, like, everybody who actually deals with Trump in person, which you haven't if you're a MAGA. You've only seen him on TV or on tweets and posts, etc., right? Every person that goes in a room with him and interacts with him behind the scenes goes, whoa, that guy's crazy and dangerous and not very bright at all. Like, does not know one thing from another, just keeps giving us nonsensical orders, keeps telling us to break the law, and then throws us under a bus. Everyone who's had an interaction with him is celebrating like crazy today, except for the people who think this will help him win the election, in which case they're super scared of what he's gonna do next. And by the way, he's run out of people. The only people he can now bring in is like maybe literal former mobsters to run the government. Like, because there's no one left loyal to him, because he's not loyal to anyone else. No matter how much you do for him, he will try to bury you at the slightest infraction. He has no brakes in his car. So what's gonna happen next? Only God knows.